I'm Matthew Abbott, and my wife Alana and I run Abbott Family Insurance here in Florida. We help employers design smarter, tax-efficient benefit strategies so you can take better care of your people without losing control of your costs. Today we're tackling a question that frustrates a lot of small and mid-sized employers. Which health plan should we offer? Specifically, how do we choose between a PPO, an HMO, and an HSA style high deductible plan? If you've ever stared at a renewal spreadsheet with 10 different plan options and no clear answer, this episode is for you. Let's start by translating the acronyms into plain English. An HMO is usually the budget-friendly, tight network option. You pick a primary care doctor, you stay in a more limited network, and you often need referrals to see specialists. In exchange, the premiums are usually lower, and the out-of-pocket costs can be predictable for day-to-day care. A PPO is the flexible option. You can see more providers, you usually don't need referrals, and employees have more freedom to go where they want, including some out-of-network care. The trade-off is higher premiums, especially for richer PPO designs. Then you have HSA eligible high deductible plans. These typically come with lower premiums but higher deductibles, and they have to meet IRS rules to pair with a health savings account. The HSA is the secret weapon here. Employees can put money in pre-tax, the money can grow, and it rolls over from year to year. For employers, pairing an HDHP with the right contribution strategy can significantly reduce premiums. And for employees who engage with the HSA, the tax savings can be substantial. So how do you choose? Instead of starting with the insurance company quote, start with 3 questions about your business. Question 1, where is your team and how do they use care? If your employees are mostly in one metro area and they're comfortable staying in a narrow network, an HMO can be a very cost-effective foundation. If you've got a more dispersed team, people in multiple states, or employees who really value choice, you're probably going to need a PPO or at least one flexible option in the mix. Question 2, what's more important to you right now? Lower premiums or predictable out-of-pocket costs for employees? HMOs and many PPOs can keep copays and deductibles fairly predictable, but you'll usually pay more in premium. HDHP/HSA designs shift more of the cost to the deductible, so premiums drop, but employees need to be prepared to handle those higher upfront costs if something happens. If your workforce is generally younger and healthier, and they're not heavy utilizers of care, a well-designed HSA plan can make a lot of sense. If you've got a lot of families with chronic conditions, you may want at least one richer option on the table. Question 3. What's our overall medical strategy? Some employers are going to stick with a traditional group health plan, PPO, HMO, or HDHP. Others may be looking at alternatives like MVP options, MEC plans, ICHRA, or even sending people to individual private insurance with some type of defined contribution. Those are all decisions about the core medical coverage. They're different ways of answering, how are we going to satisfy the medical need, and, where applicable, our ACA obligations. Now, here's where I want to be crystal clear about SMRP. SMRP stands for Self-Insured Medical Reimbursement Plan. It is not an alternative to having a medical plan. It's not something you do instead of group health, or instead of an ICHRA, or instead of an MVP or MEC plan. SMRP is something we add on top of whatever medical strategy you choose to enhance the employee package with tax incentives. In other words, first, you decide your medical path: traditional group plan, MVP, MEC, ICHRA, or individual policies with a reimbursement or contribution structure. Once that medical decision is in place, a self-insured medical reimbursement plan becomes a way to leverage the fact that you offer qualifying medical coverage to create payroll tax savings and additional benefits. So the real sequence is, choose how you'll offer medical. Then decide how you're going to enhance that medical offering and fund more value efficiently. That's where a self-insured medical reimbursement plan lives. Here's how that plays out in practice. If your priority is the lowest possible premium and your team is local, You might choose an HMO or a high deductible plan paired with an HSA. That's your core medical. Then we can look at adding a self-insured medical reimbursement plan on top to use payroll tax savings to help employees with preventive care, supplemental benefits, or even to offset part of that higher deductible. If your priority is flexibility and recruiting, you might choose a PPO as your main plan, or offer both a PPO and an HSA option. Again, that's the medical decision. On top of that, a self-insured medical reimbursement plan can be layered in to create a richer overall package, things like telemedicine, EAP, and other protections, without you simply writing a bigger check out of pocket. So when you hear me talk about SMRP, keep this in mind. Alternatives to traditional group health are things like MVP, MEC, ICHRA, or individual private coverage paired with a structured employer contribution. A self-insured medical reimbursement plan is an enhancement strategy that only works because you're offering medical. It helps you turn that existing medical spend into a tax-advantaged platform for more value. Let me leave you with a quick action list. Step 1, clarify your core medical strategy. Are you staying with a traditional group plan, PPO, HMO, or HDHP, or are you looking at MVP, MEC, or ICHRA style approaches, or individual policies paired with a contribution strategy? Get that decision frame first. Step 2, based on your people and your budget, decide whether PPO, HMO, or HSA eligible HDHP makes the most sense in that framework. Step 3, once the medical side is decided, ask, how can we enhance this with a tax-efficient layer instead of just piling more cost on top? That's where a self-insured medical reimbursement plan can take a plan that already exists and make it feel much richer to employees while using payroll tax savings behind the scenes. Choosing the right health plan isn't about memorizing acronyms, it's about sequencing your decisions. First, the medical structure, then the enhancement layer. When you do it in that order, PPO versus HMO versus HSA becomes a much easier conversation, and SMRP becomes the accelerator, not a replacement, for the medical coverage you've chosen.